the medical community, they paint the picture to us that health anxiety is some pathological disorder. And they say that it only happens to about 4 to 6% of the population. Now, they've actually diagnosed this as a psychological disorder, and they call it illness anxiety disorder. Now, contrary to the medical community, we know here at a New Life Center, health anxiety is pervasive in nature. All women have health anxiety. So all women have health anxiety. And this is due to the nature and the wiring of us as women. And it's because we see and perceive our whole world and all our experiences through the lens of victim. Through the lens of victim. So what is this lens of victim? Now, as women, no, this is unconscious. We didn't know this. We're bringing this to the surface right now. We've lived our entire lives through the lens of victim. We call this living in camp victim. And what is a victim? Well, a victim is a victim we believe life happens to us. That at a very inherent, very deep level, we do not feel in control of the events and the circumstances and the things that happen to us in our life. And interestingly, very similar to health anxiety, which is pervasive in nature, all women, the therapeutic community wants us to believe that victim, meaning victim mentality or victimhood, that it is the small percentage of the population, that is actually a disorder, that it's not mainstream. When actually all women, all of us are living in camp victim from the lens of victim. And it's pervasive, again, to that human experience. And because it's so pervasive, I mean, it's all of us, we don't even have the self-awareness that we are living in camp victim. We can't even see it. We can't even see it in ourselves. And in camp victim, what this looks like is at a very deep level, again, I don't feel in control of the experiences in my life. We call this a passenger seat perspective. I feel like someone has just kind of placed me in my life, and I feel powerless to what happens in it. And I call this the experience of feeling like the ball machine is coming at me. You know, the ball machine that just keeps throwing balls. The events, the challenges, the unknowns, the losses, they just keep coming and they don't stop. And we just live in a deep fear, waiting for that next ball to come at us, waiting for that next shoe to drop. As women, we're constantly overwhelmed, living in camp victim. We just can't get a handle on life. Now, we live in the sphere of life. We feel ill-equipped. What this causes is over time, it causes us to start to feel really angry, angry at the life that we have, of the powerlessness that we feel, of the events and the losses that just keep happening. And so as a result of living in camp victim, we blame. We blame. We point that finger outwards like this, and we blame mostly our upbringing, our parents, and how they brought us up in our community and the traumas that we've been through. We blame the losses. We blame our past relationships, especially as women with men. We blame our kids. We blame our spouses. We blame the world around us to help us understand why our experience of life has felt so hard. We blame out here for why our life has ended up the way that it has. So how does living in camp victim with this victim lens, how does this create this health anxiety that we all experience as women? Well, in camp victim, as I just shared, we are inherently powerless to life and the events and circumstances of it, especially circumstances like getting a disease like cancer. So as a result, we either fall into one of those two sides of the coin of health anxiety. We either bury our head in the sand, we don't want to know the status of our health, we are terrified and afraid of seeing a doctor and getting a diagnosis, and this unknown creates the health anxiety, or we are on the other side and we become hyper-focused, hyper-vigilant on our health. We worry about it, again, because we do not feel in control of our health, and we do not feel in control of our well-being because we are powerless in camp victim. So what this causes is we live in panic and fear, both known and also under the surface. We live in fear of these diseases and illnesses like cancer that feel random, that feel like they can come out of nowhere. And again, it's a very passenger seat perspective of life. It causes us to have a deep fear of life, right? Never knowing like we can be in control of it, what's around the corner. And this constant fear that we live with all the time of life in camp victim, this is what causes health anxiety. Fear of life is the foundation of health anxiety. So how this happens is because in camp victim, this fear of life causes us to go into a panic mode. And so what we do is we say, okay, how do we mediate this? Life feels so big, so scary, so unknown. So what we do as women is we create these tiny little life to live in. We live a really small life and we try to live in a really tightly controlled, what we call comfort zone, because life feels so inherently out of control in camp victim. And so health anxiety is a symptom of living in our tightly controlled and micromanaged lives that need to be in control of a life that inherently feels so unknown and so out of control, so random. So again, health anxiety is a symptom of needing to live in a tightly controlled life. Well, that's actually where health anxiety is coming from. And again, all bred from the lens of camp victim. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch today. If you have an autoimmune disease or chronic illness, are frustrated with medications, supplements, or food diets, and are ready to start the journey to finally and permanently healing your condition, I have 2 13-week online self-guided educational programs, the Autoimmune Healing Program and the Chronic Illness Healing Program. Both programs teach you how to permanently heal your autoimmune disease or chronic illness, leave behind those doctor's visits and symptom management, and to finally heal without supplements, medication, or food diets. This is the same journey I took and why I am over 10 years completely healthy. All 8 of my autoimmune diseases and chronic illnesses are permanently gone. You can find the link to apply for a complimentary course consultation with me down in the description below. And if you're not ready to take this step, watch my free 101 course on autoimmune diseases and chronic illnesses. You'll also find the link to watch this down in the description. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch today. I look forward to you permanently healing your autoimmune disease or chronic illness.